Hey guys, what's up? Deniz from Deniz World of Bodybuilding. Today I want to talk about Shawn Rhoden. So after Shawn Rhoden's guest posing appearance, I think like 2 months ago, something like that, something like 2 months, he got a huge shitstorm on YouTube and on whole social media platforms. I even have to say, I rewatched Nick Strength and Power's video, which obviously got one of the bigger views because his channel is so big, so it went more viral than a little channel like mine or others. I think me and Nick too were right back then, because we said we were not sensationalistic. We said that he did it for 17 years like that. He won the Mr.Olympia with this strategy. It's nothing new. It would be new if he would change things. So the procedure he went into, was nothing new for him. It's his winning formula. And people are unique, especially I think at an amateur level, you kind of have the same diets, regimens, things like that. But at the very, very top professional level, you have the elite, okay? You have the genetic freaks out of the genetic freaks, times 100, okay? So these are not normal guys by any standards. So let's check out first, I want to talk a little with you. Let's check out the pictures he showed back then. So back then he was like that, fat 2.5 season, and he got in shape for contest. But also when he was a pro, he was fat and looked like this. But what I have to say, let's first check these videos. I have to say something. Here you see him too, not that fat, okay, but a little watery. Here you see that picture again, and how he looked at the Olympia. And this is like, okay, I did it like that. I see how I looked in 2008 and how I look in 2018. He looks great. But I have to add something when I talk about this. I would say that especially at the pictures he picked himself, so he picked pictures that speak for him, right? So especially at these pictures, he looks, okay, not even that fat. He looks, bigger, body fat wise, but he also looks damn massive, okay? And here too, he is obviously not in contest shape, but he is very, very massive. And that was what was missing at the guest posing at the Pittsburgh one. He was more fat than his, and in those pictures, but with really, really less muscle than in this pictures. So you have to get people. So at this picture, he really has a belly. So his legs are decent though. Okay, so he was fatter at this appearance and smaller muscle wise. So people were shocked, and I wasn't, because I know a guy, a friend of mine who saw Shawn at the FIBO, which is around the beginning of April, and he was small and fat. That's for years at the FIBO. So it was more like the Pittsburgh appearance. So it seems like even in April he is. Of course, when I say small, not small for normal people, but small for a IFBB pro at this level. So it's really nothing new, okay? For him. Probably nobody would do it. And let's continue, okay? But it really gets him. He did a huge post on this, to defend himself because of this appearance, because he's got such a big, huge shitstorm. Today with social media, there are so many platforms and everybody can, write down their opinions. So it's really more dramatic than back then. You have to admit it. Because back then, nobody could write to the magazines, for example, or even if you did it, nobody cared. So the athletes, the athlete didn't have as much impressions of fans as he has now. This is from 2017, so this is not relevant. So he posted pictures from contest shapes. He posted pictures with his trainer, Charles Glass. I hope they are going great. He posted stuff from back then, contest shape, training videos, which he does regularly. His diet coach, Chris Aceto, they're a great team. No doubt of that. Then he posted this picture, and people were like, okay, he really got changed, okay, in this 1.5 months that were between the guest posing and the Pittsburgh one. And I think the better picture is, which he posted very, very recently, 3 days ago, this one. So here he really does look in shape and also bigger. So he is pulling off the Levrone. So Kevin was not the only one who did it. Of course, in his time he was, but today he is the Kevin Levrone, speaking about prep. But it was 2 months. 2 months can be a lot of time for such guys. They can change so much, and he still has time. Okay, so I really think that he will change a lot to the Olympia, and he will do maybe improvements too. So I would say his problem will not be to be as good as the last year's Mr. Olympia. But guys, listen, I have some arguments written down where I would say, okay, he is at least seen as the weakest Mr. Olympia after Dexter Jackson. Okay, that's no diss, but when Dexter won in 2008, you knew it was just because Jay was off, and you knew that in 2009 somebody else will grab the title. Okay, I think that was pretty much clear. With Shawn really, is tall. He has that aesthetic, but I talk about the problems where, why it still makes him a relatively weak champion compared to the dominant, very, very dominant guys like Ronnie Coleman, Dorian Yates, and guys like that. Okay, so there are a couple of arguments. As of now, Shawn Rhoden is 44 years of age. So he started his reign to be Mr. Olympia at 43. That's old even for bodybuilding. There is only one guy who's not included in this whole, talk about age. That's Dexter Jackson. He'll be 50, I think, at the Olympia this year. But doesn't mean that that's everybody is like that. It's not. But you never know. Okay, Shawn maybe has 5-6 years in him, but what I want to say is that he started his reign at a pretty old age. Even like Ronnie or Jay, they were all very much younger. I think Jay is probably not older than Shawn right now. I don't know it. I have to search it up, but you get what I mean. That was point one. Second point is that he's not the most massive. Although I know that people are more and more go to the aesthetic direction, especially at the Arnold Classic, it's still, the case that if a guy, let's say Big Ramy, would be completely peeled, hard and full, he would win it. Okay, there is no doubt about that. So it's still the case that the biggest guy who is in shape, who has symmetry like a Ramy has, will win it. So that's the case. He's not the most massive. It's not like a huge gap between first and the other guys of the top 6, mass-wise. Then he has no wow factor. What I want to say is that, for example, Ronnie had his back, Ronnie had his legs, Ronnie had his great biceps, his chest, he had so much wow factors that you saw when he stepped on stage, even without comparing him to other guys. Shawn looks smooth, Shawn looks cool. It's not like he's a slim dude, but there is nothing popping out of the norm. Everything seems in balance. Every body part he has seems like it is in balance. Nothing, when you see these pictures, if I would ask 10 people which body part, catch your eyes first, everybody, 10 people would have 10 different opinions. Of course, more people would say his legs got my attention. His legs are pretty good. But there is no huge wow factor where you could say, okay, 10 out of 10 guys will look at that body part. If I would show you a picture of Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime, if I would show that picture 20 guys and I would say which body part did catch your eyes first, everybody would say the bicep peak. That's what I mean with that. Don't get me wrong. Okay, and what I will also want to say is, of course, 2018 he got the title, but a year prior to that, he wasn't second or third. He actually was fifth. So just 1 year before his title win, Phil beat him, Big Ramy beat him, William Bonac beat him, and Dexter Jackson beat him. And then Shawn Rhoden. I always, I always say Shawn Ray instead of Shawn Rhoden. But of course, I mean Shawn Rhoden came in fifth. So what I want to say is that in a little time span, he of course beat the guys 1 year after it, but they beat him 1 year prior. So if you would say, okay, Phil is not in this year, but Dexter is, Big Ramy is, William Bonac is, and they do have a chance to beat him. They already beat him, they already proved that they have. And their bodies were not much different. And their bodies didn't get worse. So he still, he has lots of competition. And of course, you still have waiting Rolly Winkler, who is on fire. You still have Nathan Diasha, who is on fire. You still have Brandon Curry, who's definitely on fire. So I think this year's Mr. Olympia is so interesting because you literally don't know who will win it. That's great. That's great. I love competition. I think he's a great guy, and I do think that he worked so much for it. He talked in Generation Iron that he had, a suicide attempt, 2 times in his life. So he really went through pain. He will give everything. He probably right now, he does give everything to look his best. So I wish every competitor the best. Let's see how the Battle of the Olympia will go on. Subscribe to my channel, guys. Don't forget it. I have to get, I really want to get 3,000 subscribers till the Olympia. 5 till, end of the year, but 3,000 till the Olympia. Bye. If you liked it, thumb up. Then I know at every video you watch, if you like it, I know that you liked not only the topic but also the way I talked about it and my stuff, Bye.